Good morning, evening, and afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. In this video, we'll be visiting the city of Ronda, Spain, in Andalusia, just 2 hours from Malaga City. This city is known for its bridges, its baths, and its wine country. Today, I'll be spending the next 24 hours in this city in the middle of July. Come join me. And just like that, we have arrived in Ronda just about 2 hours later. It's actually funny, it's cooler here now than it is in Malaga, but it's going to get much hotter later. So I got to take advantage of the morning while I'm here, but I leave in about 24 hours. I catch a bus tomorrow morning. There's quite a bit to see, so let's get going. So there's at least a few places in Ronda that I want to see. Obviously, the bridge is going to be one of them, but there's also a few that I think, surprisingly enough, can actually help, are fun things to do and see while also getting a break from the heat. Now, I said it's only about 10:30 in the morning right now, and it actually gets quite cool in the evening here, so it hasn't really heated up yet, but it will very soon, especially this afternoon. It's going to be 90 degrees Fahrenheit, or roughly 30 degrees Celsius. And then today the high is supposed to be 100 degrees or almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 38 or 39 Celsius. So this is Alameda del Tajo, this beautiful green space, and absolutely the place you want to be when the heat is out today. But there's also apparently a great viewpoint just over here, so we're going to go check it out. Yeah, so here we are just up here, and you get a really I'm going to try to use a different word than beautiful. I tend to default to that, a really gorgeous view of the valley. So here you are, and here you can kind of see again that part of Ronda down here is built just on the side of I guess the edge of a cliff right here, and that's quite a drop right there. So why Ronda? Well, actually, Ronda was one of the places I've wanted to visit in Spain. If you've ever owned a Windows computer, a lot of them have like the generic backgrounds, and one of them is actually a view of the Bridge of Ronda and the cliffside there. So I was like, man, that would be so cool to visit. And a year or two later, I find myself living in Spain, and I still haven't gone to see that bridge, so I have to go see the bridge. So just up here should be the bullfighting ring. So yeah, just behind me is the bullfighting ring. I don't know if I'll go inside. A lot of towns in Spain no longer do bullfighting for moral and ethical reasons, and I believe Ronda is one of those. So I don't know if I'm going to check it out today, but yeah, just thought I'd point it out. It's right there. Oh, and I found the cat park. I always seem to find the place where the cats are. I think it's like wherever I go. I don't even look it up. I didn't even know that there were cats here, but here they are enjoying the shade. Hello, kitty. Psst, psst. So down here they've got some ruins, and there's actually a path along the wall there, and I don't know if you can see it, but down there you can actually take a little hike and get a beautiful view of the bridge. I'm gonna go try to do that. All right, it's time to keep moving. The tour groups are already out, which makes sense. It's gonna be really, really hot today, so they gotta come early to try to beat the heat, because they're either gonna go back later or take a siesta, which is probably what I'm gonna be doing a little bit later. So say goodbye to the kitties and then we're gonna keep on. I think I might try to hike down to that viewpoint. Yeah, so I think most people who come here, they do what that tour group I just passed did, which is basically they come for the morning, see the sights, learn the history, and then head back to Malaga or whatever. It makes sense. But for me, I kind of decided, well, it would be cool to spend a night in a different city, you know, find a cheap hotel and be somewhere different for the day. Get to be a tourist in my own and the region that I live in. So just up here is the thing that Ronda is famous for. So this is the new bridge. We're gonna see if we can get that kind of first initial impression of it. All right, we are feeling bold. We are going to go explore down in the canyon before it heats up. Now, one thing I'm curious if we'll see is more of the Moorish influence in some of the architecture here, as Granada, I think, was the second to last city besides Malaga to basically resist the Spanish Inquisition, or the Reconquista of Spain, of the Moors, or of the Christians, to take over Spain from the Moors. So I guess we'll see if we'll see much of that influence as we explore the city today. I thought I love seeing these. This just is a reminder that the Camino does stretch this far south, and there are trails that go all across Spain and into France as well, and Portugal. So it's pretty cool to see trails of the Camino one day. Oh, we are going to start our descent down. We'll see if future Evan regrets this decision. Ah, this is so nice to go down. I wonder how it will be going back up. So this is the Puente Nuevo, or the New Bridge of Ronda. And I say new, but it was actually originally finished in 1793 after about 34 years of construction. It spans the El Tajo Gorge, which connects the two sides of Ronda. The first attempt of the bridge unfortunately collapsed in 1741 and took around 50 people with it. So they rebuilt it slowly, and since then it has held over 2 centuries. I said, I wonder what future Evan is going to think of me going down all this elevation. And it's shit. But we go back up. Hey, past Evan, why did we think it was a good idea to come all the way down here? Well, I assume past Evan thought there would be great views. There were. And now I'm struggling. Thank you for that. Currently halfway back up to the city. I think next after this, I'm going to try to find some lunch because I'm getting pretty hungry. And then ideally I'd like to check out the baths before I go check in at my hotel and take a little bit of break from the afternoon sun. So let's get going. We have made it back up, and now we are going to continue exploring the city. I love these small, narrow streets. This is, for me, what I imagine quintessential Europe is, just these tiny, winding streets. You could technically fit a car here, but it would be tight. So I can't think of a better way to beat the heat than with a cold cerveza. So it is just now lunchtime here. after that long trek. I needed a break, needed to get some food, so salud. So we got ourselves another way to stay cool, some gazpacho soup. So this is cold soup. I actually haven't had any this summer, and a sandwich because it's hard to go wrong with a moleta. All right, now that we have had a chance to refuel and take a bit of a break, we are gonna keep heading down. So we're gonna head to the furthest point, I guess, out of the city, also in the most direct sun, to the Puerta del Almocabar, which I believe, correct me in the comments, but I think that's Moorish. So this is one of the old entrances to the city, and we're also going to see a pretty church up here as well. So I wanted to show you this because this is the city of Ronda over here, and very clearly, like, everything is just staunch white, and that is really because it does just get so hot here. So that's one of the only few ways to kind of beat the heat. All right, so temperature check. It is 90 degrees Fahrenheit, or I think that's about 31 degrees Celsius. And here is the old wall, which I believe we can go up. It's from the 13th century, wow. So this is really old and was built during the reign of Charles V Al-Kabar. So here, this is actually just part of Ronda here. So the bridge is actually right here. So basically this section right here is just part or one city side of Ronda. And it's just this section right here. And then the bridge is right there connecting the rest of the city of Ronda. This is just showing the old fortress and encampment of the Arab side of the city. One thing I will say that's deceptive about Ronda actually has very old history for wine. When the Moors took over Ronda, there was a lot of wine production here in Ronda, and at the time, a lot of Moors didn't really drink much wine, but they didn't stop because it was a really effective means of trade and income. So they kept making wine using the grapes that they had found here. And they kept making wine actually until through the Reconquista of Spain and up until the 20th century. And as I was saying, the grapes here are quite old, and they were actually a recovered species of certain types of grapes that were found up in the mountains of Ronda, where the climate is a little bit different, and the insects that came and brought these diseases actually couldn't reach because the climate was so harsh. So where we are headed next is some old Arab baths, and I think that is going to be a really good way to kind of stay a little bit cool, because my understanding is these are covered and it's just now 1 o'clock. So we are now starting to get into the point of the day where it's going to get hot. Quick temperature check. We are at 94 degrees Fahrenheit. The baths close at 2 or 1400 and reopen at 3 or 1500. So according to the website, it only takes about 30 minutes to get through them. So I'm gonna go run down there, see if I can do them. All right, so change of plans. I don't want to rush the Arab baths, so we are gonna head to a heritage museum next, where there is an underwater mine. So here we are. I think this is the entrance, no? So Casa del Rey Moro means house of the Moorish king, and what's funny is it's not true in the sense that a king ever lived here. The house is actually from the 1700s and was built centuries after the Moors lost Ronda. But the gardens are real, and they are the reason to come. In 1912, a French architect named Jean-Claude Forestier cut these terraces into the edge of the gorge and added fountains, water channels, and tile work. The same man who designed Maria Luisa Park in Sevilla, actually. The house itself is closed for renovation, sadly, so today it's the gardens only. But that is alright, because the one genuinely Moorish thing about the house of the Moorish king isn't actually the house. It's hiding under my feet in the mine. In the early 1300s, Ronda was an Islamic city with a problem. Its water was the river, but it was 60 meters down at the bottom of the gorge. Cut the city off from the river, it dies. So, King Abu Melek's engineers cut a secret staircase straight down through the rock, inside the gorge wall. More than 200 steps, or roughly the equivalent of a 20-story building. At the bottom, a water wheel lifted river water into a well, and chains of slaves hauled it up in leather skins step by step in the dark. There was a saying back in Ronda then, in Ronda you die carrying water skins. The staircase was so important that whoever controlled the staircase controlled the city, and for 150 years it worked. Then, in 1485, Christian troops captured the mine and smashed the wheel. Ronda surrendered within days. The city that could not be taken fell because of these stairs. So we have made it to the water's edge, but this is amazing. This underground mine just built right here for water to seemingly survive these hot summers. I now have to climb up roughly a 20-story building to get back up to the top. No elevator, no escalator. So I'm thinking about that, and then thinking about how great that hotel bed is going to feel to go check in and take a little siesta, because I think we've earned it. Hola.
Hola.
Tengo una reservación con Evan Monroe por una noche. Gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias. Finally, we made it. It feels good to be in a room with working aircon, and now I'm gonna quickly refresh myself. There we go. All right, well, I've got a few hours and it is the middle of the heat right now. It's like almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius. It is brutal out there, which means we're gonna relax a little bit. Well, now that I'm refreshed, I have a few hours. I'll see you guys in a few hours, but you'll see me in just a few seconds. All right, let's get going. Well, it's definitely hot out, but if you stay in the shade, it's not so bad. But I see why people say in the summer, they're like, yeah, everyone shuts their windows. The reason siesta happens is because people are inside. At times it almost kind of feels a bit like you're in like a zombie apocalypse movie. You're walking down the street and you like just don't see anyone. I mean, if you look like behind me, there's just like empty boarded up restaurants, and then in front of me you just don't see anyone. Everyone is at home or inside and just escaping the heat. I just came back over here because I saw a gato. Well, not a real one, but very happy for the shade round two. Let's go check out these Arab baths. Kitty. They have a gato. Hola, buenas. Uno, por favor. Ahora Málaga para antes Estados Unidos. These Arab baths are some of the oldest and best preserved in all of Europe. These date back from the 14th century and were originally used by the Moorish people entering the city to cleanse not only their body, but also their spirit. The baths were divided into three main chambers: a hot room, a warm room, and a cold room. They would cycle through each of these rooms multiple times to feel cleansed, while also then spending time in the garden to cleanse their spirit. They would typically start in the hot room before moving to the warm room, and then finally they would move to the cold room, where they would wash themselves of all the impurities from the days of travel. Well, that was certainly cool and a very good way to escape the heat. Both the gardens as well as the bath themselves would recommend. One cool thing I want to just quickly check out is apparently this bridge here was the main route into the city in the 14th century. And you can see the remnants of the wall right there. And this was the main mode of entry. So one thing they said about the baths was, at least in the Islamic culture, bathing upon arrival, was very typical, especially or praying at a temple. And to pray at the temple, you needed to bathe yourself in both your body and soul. So the baths helped cleanse the body, and the gardens helped cleanse the soul. Everyone talks about the big bridge, but no one talks about this small one. Suffice to say, 24 hours in Ronda, I think, is more than enough time, but it would be a shame to rush and do just a day trip. As evening started to settle in, I decided to head back down the gorge to get a different view of the bridge in a different light, and suffice to say, I wasn't disappointed. The only thing left to do was to wander back up to town to enjoy the fading sunlight. I stumbled across a wedding, saw a horse-drawn carriage, and I stopped and had dinner at a lovely local tapas restaurant to have some true, authentic Andalusian tapas. After this, I had to end the evening with some gelato at a local gelateria, and I wasn't disappointed. After that, I headed back to the park we started the day in to enjoy the sunset, and something funny happened along the way. I ran into two people who were calling my name, and sure enough, I met Barry and Karen, who were two lovely folks who had actually watched some of my YouTube videos. We stopped and we chatted for a good 30 minutes about their recent journeys and move to Spain. Thank you both for the lovely conversation. The only thing left to do was to head back to the hotel and get a good night's sleep. We are wrapping up a beautiful day here in Ronda. We were back at the park from earlier, just saw the sunset. So the only thing left to do now is to head back to the hotel, get some sleep, because tomorrow morning we have to catch a bus at 10 a.m. Well, good morning, everyone. It is just a little before 8 a.m. here in Ronda. Slept like a baby. And yeah, we have just about 2 hours before we have to catch the bus. If you're new here, please subscribe. I do videos like this where I travel and document my journeys across Spain and show some of the fun to be had living abroad, as well as do some reflections. I've almost been living here in Spain for about a year, so I actually am planning a video to kind of talk a little bit about that. So I thought I would come and walk along really the edge of this cliff here and just enjoy some of the beautiful views and scenery. I mean, it's really nice being here because the only people out right now are some older gentlemen walking their dogs, and you feel like you have this all to yourself. This beautiful landscape. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. I think Andalusia and these mountainscapes here, it's one of my favorite things living here. Anyways, I think it's time to go get some breakfast and some coffee. The morning air has woken me up a little bit, but I definitely need some coffee to get the day going. I feel right at home. Paseo de los Ingleses, Walk of the English. Here I am, 24 hours later, back at the bus station. My bus leaves in just about 20 minutes. And yeah, I have to say, 24 hours in Ronda in the summer, not just doable, but really enjoyable. It is a little hot, but there's plenty to do to beat the heat. And I really think spending at least one night here is really worth it. So stay tuned for more trips like this where I may do 1, 2, or even more journeys that turn into some series for all of you. But if you liked this video, please let me know, like, subscribe, and leave some suggestions where else I should journey to in Spain. But otherwise, it's time for me to go catch my bus. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.